The cold water hit my lungs like a knife. 1 second I was standing on the pool deck in my jeans and sweater, the next I was sinking into darkness, my daughter's hands still burning on my back where she'd shoved me. I couldn't swim. Never learned. My arms flailed, mouth open in a silent scream that only filled with chlorine. But then I saw Jasper, my husband, underwater beside me. His eyes were wide, urgent. He made our old scuba diving signal, the one from 20 years ago when we used to vacation in Florida, back when life was simple. 2 fingers across his throat, then palms down, flat and still. Stay calm. Play dead. Float face down. Every instinct in my body screamed to fight, to thrash, to claw my way to air. But I trusted him. I always had. So I let my body go limp, let myself float like a corpse, my face in the water, my lungs screaming for oxygen. Above us, muffled by the water, I heard Marlowe's voice. My daughter. My only child. She was screaming, but not for help. She was screaming at someone. Help. Oh my God, help. They attacked me. I had to defend myself. My heart stopped. Not from drowning. From understanding. She wanted us dead. Have you ever had someone you loved with your whole soul try to kill you? Drop a comment below and let me know if you've ever been betrayed by family, because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about my own daughter. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family, enjoy the story. I forced myself to stay still even as my chest burned. Jasper's hand found mine underwater, squeezed once. Footsteps pounded on the deck above. Multiple voices now. Security, maybe. Marlowe was sobbing, her voice cracking with fake tears I'd heard 100 times growing up when she wanted to get out of trouble. I don't know what happened. They just went crazy. They were yelling at me about money, about ruining their lives, and then my mom lunged at me and I pushed her away and they both fell in. Money. She was already building her story. My mind raced even as I floated there, motionless. How long had she planned this? How long had my baby girl been plotting to murder her own parents? The water rippled. Someone was running along the edge. A man's voice, deep and official. Ma'am, step back. How long have they been under? I don't know. Maybe a minute? 2? Oh God, they can't swim. My mom can't swim. I forgot. Marlowe's voice pitched higher, more hysterical. Academy Award performance. You have to save them. But she didn't jump in. She didn't try to save us herself. She just stood there, waiting for us to die. My lungs were on fire now. Black spots danced at the edges of my vision. Jasper squeezed my hand again, harder this time. Hold on. Just a little longer. But longer for what? What was his plan? If we surfaced now, it was our word against hers. If we stayed under much longer, we'd actually drown and she'd get exactly what she wanted. The security guard's radio crackled. I need police and EMTs to the rooftop pool. Possible double drowning. Suspect claims self-defense. Suspect. The word cut through the water like a blade. They already believed her. Of course they did. She was young, beautiful, crying. We were the angry parents. The lawsuit. The money. It all fit her narrative perfectly. And that's when I heard the words that made everything click into place. They were trying to force me to sign over my inheritance, Marlowe sobbed to the guard. They said if I didn't give them the money, they'd destroy me like they destroyed Donovan. I was so scared. I just reacted. Inheritance. What inheritance? We had nothing to give her. We'd lost everything in the lawsuit against Donovan, her con artist fiancé who'd stolen our retirement. We'd won in court, but the money was gone, hidden in offshore accounts we'd never find. We were broke. Living on Social Security and part-time jobs at 62 and 64 years old. So what inheritance was she talking about? 3 days earlier, my phone rang at 4:47 in the afternoon while I was folding laundry in our tiny apartment. Marlowe's name flashed on the screen. I almost dropped the phone. She hadn't called in 6 months. Not since the trial. Not since she stood up in court and told the judge that Donovan was innocent, that we were vindictive parents who couldn't accept her happiness. Mom. Her voice was soft, tentative. The way it used to sound when she was little and wanted something. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm hoping you'll hear me out. I should have hung up. Jasper, folding towels beside me, shook his head in warning. But she was my daughter. My little girl who used to bring me dandelions from the yard and call them roses. I'm listening, I said. I got promoted. Vice President of Operations. And I've been doing a lot of therapy, Mom. A lot of thinking. About us. About what happened. And I realize I was wrong. Her voice cracked, and God help me, I wanted to believe her. I chose Donovan over you and Dad, and that was a mistake. He's gone now. We broke up. And I'm staying at the Grandview Hotel downtown for a few days to clear my head, and I just thought maybe we could meet? Celebrate my promotion? Start over. Jasper was making slashing motions across his throat, mouthing no, no, no. But I heard myself say, when? Tomorrow night? I'll get you and Dad a room. My treat. We can have dinner, talk, maybe use the spa. I just want my parents back. She was crying now, real tears from the sound of it. I miss you so much. I cried too. 6 months of silence, of grief, of mourning my living daughter, all came pouring out. We miss you too, baby. So much. Jasper grabbed the phone from me after I hung up. Corinne, this is a trap. You know it's a trap. But even he had tears in his eyes. Even he wanted to believe our daughter had come back to us. The next evening, we drove to the Grandview Hotel with an overnight bag and hearts full of desperate hope. The hotel was one of those luxury high-rises downtown, all glass and marble and doormen in white gloves. Nothing we could ever afford. Marlo met us in the lobby wearing a designer suit, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her smile bright and wide. Too wide. Looking back now, I should have seen it. The smile never reached her eyes. She hugged us both, held on just a second too long, and I felt her body tense against mine like she was bracing herself for something. I'm so glad you came, she whispered. This means everything to me. Dinner was at the hotel restaurant, some fancy place with tiny portions and French names I couldn't pronounce. Marlo ordered wine, expensive bottles we'd never heard of, and talked about her promotion, her new apartment, her plans for the future. None of it included Donovan. She said his name once with disgust, and claimed she'd finally seen through his lies. You were right about him, she said, reaching across the table to take my hand. About all of it. I was blinded by love. Or what I thought was love. But he showed his true colors after the lawsuit. Tried to get me to steal money from my own company to pay his legal fees. Can you believe that? Jasper studied her over his wine glass. What made you finally see it? Something flickered in her eyes. Just for a second. Then it was gone, replaced by that too bright smile. I grew up, Dad. That's all. Sometimes it takes losing everything to figure out what matters. We went back to our room around 11, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster. Marlo hugged us goodnight in the hallway and promised to take us to breakfast in the morning. Sleep well, she said. Tomorrow's a new start for all of us. But at 2 a.m., someone knocked on our door. I opened the door in my pajamas, confused and half asleep. Marlo stood in the hallway wearing jeans and a black t-shirt, her hair pulled back, her face scrubbed clean of makeup. She looked 16 again. Vulnerable. I can't sleep, she said. I keep thinking about everything I put you through. Can we talk? Jasper came up behind me, rubbing his eyes. Marlo, it's 2 in the morning. I know. I'm sorry. But the hotel has this amazing rooftop pool and it's heated, and I just thought maybe we could sit up there for a bit? Under the stars? Like we used to at the lake house. The lake house. We'd sold it 5 years ago to help her pay for business school. Back when we still had money. Back when we still believed investing in our daughter's future meant she'd include us in it. Please. Marlo's eyes filled with tears. I need to tell you something. Something important. And I need to do it somewhere that feels like us. Like family. So we got dressed. Jeans, sweaters, sneakers. followed our daughter up 3 flights of stairs to the rooftop because the elevator was under maintenance. The pool area was empty, lit by underwater lights that made everything glow blue and ghostly. The city stretched out around us, buildings like mountains against the dark sky. "It's beautiful up here," I said, walking to the edge of the pool. The water was perfectly still, steam rising from the surface into the cold November air. "Yeah," Marlo said behind me. "Beautiful." And then her hands hit my back. I didn't have time to scream. Didn't have time to process that my daughter had just shoved me with both hands, hard enough to send me flying forward. I hit the water and went under, arms spinning, mouth open in shock. Beside me, Jasper splashed down too. She'd pushed us both. At the same time. Planned it. Practiced it, maybe. That's when I knew. This wasn't about reconciliation. This was about murder. Underwater, Jasper grabbed my arm. Made the signal. Play dead. And suddenly I remembered something from 8 months ago, before the lawsuit, before everything fell apart. Jasper and I had been watching a true crime show about a woman who faked her own death to escape her abusive husband. "Smart," Jasper had said. "Sometimes playing dead is the only way to stay alive long enough to fight back." Was that what he was thinking now? That if we played dead, we'd catch Marlo in her lie? That we'd have witnesses to whatever story she was about to spin? Or did he just want us to hear the truth from her own mouth before we died? I let myself float. Face down. Arms spread. Jasper did the same beside me, his hand still gripping mine under the water where she couldn't see. My lungs burned, but I held my breath, counting seconds in my head. 10, 15, 20. Above us, Marlo's footsteps ran to the door. "Help! Security! Help! They fell in. They can't swim." Her voice echoed across the rooftop, bouncing off buildings, carrying into the night. Perfect panic. Perfect fear. If I hadn't felt her hands on my back, I would have believed her too. 30 seconds. 35. My vision started to tunnel. Jasper squeezed my hand. "Not yet. Hold on." The door banged open. Heavy boots on concrete. "Ma'am, what happened?" A man's voice, calm and professional. "I don't know." Marlo was sobbing now, huge gasping sobs that sounded so real. "We were just talking and they started yelling at me about Donovan, about the lawsuit, about how I ruined their lives, and my mom grabbed my arm and I pulled away and she lunged at me and I pushed her back and she fell and my dad tried to catch her and they both went in." 45 seconds. 50. The black spots were back, bigger now, eating my vision. I needed air. Needed to breathe. Needed to surface. But Jasper held tight. "Trust me. Stay down." "How long ago?" the security guard asked. "Maybe a minute?" "I ran to get you right away." "Oh God, they're going to drown." "My mom can't swim. She never learned." True. That part was true. I'd been terrified of water my whole life after my brother drowned when I was 7. Marlo knew that. She'd used it. Weaponized my own trauma against me. "Step back, ma'am." The guard's radio crackled. "This is Garcia, rooftop pool. Need police and EMTs. Possible drowning, 2 victims, suspect claims self-defense." Suspect. Marlo was a suspect. That meant they didn't fully believe her. That meant we had a chance. 60 seconds. My body started to convulse, trying to force me to breathe. Jasper's hand went slack in mine for just a moment, then tightened again. He was struggling too. We couldn't hold out much longer. "They attacked you?" the guard pressed. "Both of them?" "Yes. No. I don't know." Marlo's voice climbed higher. "They were so angry. They said I owed them. That I had to pay them back for everything. For the lawyer fees, for the stress, for turning against them. And I told them I don't have that kind of money and my mom just snapped." Liar. We'd never asked her for a penny. Never would. The lawsuit was against Donovan, not her. We just wanted our retirement back. Our security. Our future. And that's when she said it. The line that made everything click into place. They were trying to force me to sign over my inheritance. My grandmother's trust fund. They said if I didn't give them the money, they'd destroy me like they destroyed Donovan. What inheritance? What trust fund? My mother had been dead for 15 years and left nothing but debt. Jasper's parents were still alive, living in Arizona on fixed incomes. There was no inheritance. There was no money. So why was Marlo lying about it? Unless there was money we didn't know about. The thought cut through my oxygen-starved brain like lightning. I floated there, face down, dying, and suddenly understood. This wasn't about revenge. This was about profit. Marlo wasn't trying to kill us because we'd hurt her. She was trying to kill us because we were worth more dead than alive. Life insurance. The policy we'd taken out 20 years ago when she was born. $2 million, split between us. $1 million each. And because we'd never updated it, because we'd never thought we'd need to, Marlo was still listed as the sole beneficiary. We'd meant to change it after she turned 18, meant to switch it to charity or split it between nieces and nephews, but we'd never gotten around to it. And somehow, Marlo had found out. Jasper's hand spasmed in mine. He'd figured it out too. Our daughter was going to murder us for insurance money, frame it as self-defense, and walk away with $2 million and a tragic story about her violent parents. 70 seconds. 80. I couldn't hold on anymore. My mouth opened involuntarily, water rushing in, chlorine burning my throat. I was going to die. Actually die. Not playing dead. Really dead. But then I heard the splash. Unless there was money we didn't know about. The thought cut through my oxygen-starved brain like lightning. I floated there, face down, dying, and suddenly understood. This wasn't about revenge. This was about profit. Marlo wasn't trying to kill us because we'd hurt her. She was trying to kill us because we were worth more dead than alive. Life insurance. The policy we'd taken out 20 years ago when she was born. $2 million, split between us. $1 million each. And because we'd never updated it, because we'd never thought we'd need to, Marlo was still listed as the sole beneficiary. We'd meant to change it after she turned 18, meant to switch it to charity or split it between nieces and nephews, but we'd never gotten around to it. And somehow, Marlo had found out. Jasper's hand spasmed in mine. He'd figured it out too. Our daughter was going to murder us for insurance money, frame it as self-defense, and walk away with $2 million and a tragic story about her violent parents. 70 seconds. 80. I couldn't hold on anymore. My mouth opened involuntarily, water rushing in, chlorine burning my throat. I was going to die. Actually die. Not playing dead. Really dead. But then I heard the splash. They made us sit in the hotel manager's office while they reviewed the footage. Marlo sat across from us, flanked by the two cops, her hands cuffed in front of her. She wouldn't look at us. Just stared at the floor, tears running down her face, her whole body shaking. I wanted to comfort her. Even after everything, even knowing what she'd done, I wanted to hold my daughter and tell her it would be okay. That's what 27 years of motherhood does to you. It doesn't shut off just because your child tries to murder you. But Jasper put his hand on my knee, squeezed hard. Don't. She needs to face this. The hotel manager, a trim woman in her 50s named Patricia, pulled up the footage on her computer. We all crowded around the screen. Black and white, grainy, but clear enough. Timestamp, 2:03 a.m. The three of us walked onto the rooftop, Marlo leading the way. We stopped at the edge of the pool. I turned to say something to her. And she pushed us. Both hands, both of us, one smooth motion like she'd practiced it. There was no attack. No argument. No self-defense. Just murder, caught in digital black and white. Oh Jesus, the female cop breathed. She wasn't kidding. That was deliberate. But Patricia held up her hand. Wait. There's more. She fast-forwarded. We watched ourselves float motionless for a full minute and a half. Watched Marlo stand there for 5 seconds, staring at our bodies, before she turned and ran. Not immediately. Not in panic. She waited. Making sure we weren't coming up. Making sure we were really drowning. She waited to get help, Jasper said, his voice hollow. She wanted to be sure we were dead before she called security. The male cop looked at Marlo. Is that true? Did you wait? Marlo finally looked up. Her face was blotchy, her eyes swollen. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I froze. For 5 seconds. Patricia pulled up another angle. This camera has audio. Do you want to hear what you said while you were standing there watching them drown? Marlo's face went gray. No. I do, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded like someone else's. Someone harder. Someone who'd just realized her daughter was a stranger. Patricia clicked play. The audio was muffled, distant, but clear enough. We watched Marlo standing at the edge of the pool, arms wrapped around herself, staring at our floating bodies. And then we heard her voice, barely a whisper but picked up by the sensitive microphones. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I need this. I need the money. Donovan said it's the only way. He said you'd never forgive me anyway. He said this was mercy. Donovan. He was still in her life. Still controlling her. Still feeding her poison. Where is he? Jasper asked, his voice dangerous. Where's Donovan? Marlo shook her head. I'm not telling you anything. I want my lawyer. The female cop stood up. Marlo Jensen, you're under arrest for 2 counts of attempted murder. She read the Miranda rights while Marlo sobbed. When she was done, she looked at me and Jasper. Do you want to press charges? Did I want to press charges against my own daughter? Did I want to send her to prison? Did I want to destroy what was left of our family forever? But I looked at the screen, at Marlo standing there watching us drown, and I heard her words again. He said this was mercy. Yes, I said. We're pressing charges. They took her away. Down the elevator, through the lobby, into a police car. I watched from the window as they drove off, my daughter's face pressed against the glass, looking up at me one last time. She didn't look sorry. She looked angry. Like we'd betrayed her by surviving. Patricia brought us tea, wrapped us in hotel blankets, and told us we could stay in our room as long as we needed, no charge. The police would need statements in the morning. For now, we should rest. But how do you rest when your daughter just tried to kill you? Jasper and I went back to our room as the sun started to rise. We didn't talk. Didn't cry. Just sat on the bed, holding hands, watching the city wake up outside our window. Finally, Jasper spoke. The insurance policy. We need to call them today. Get her removed as beneficiary. She's going to prison, I said. She can't collect anyway. But Donovan can. If something happens to us, if this goes to trial and someone finishes what she started, he's still out there. Still pulling strings. Jasper turned to me, his eyes hard. This isn't over, Corinne. He's not going to just let $2 million walk away. And that's when my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. You should have drowned. Next time, you won't have cameras to save you. Donovan knew we'd survived. And he wasn't done with us yet. I was still staring at that text message when another memory hit me. Sharp and sudden, like breaking through ice. Marlo at 7 years old, standing at the edge of this exact hotel chain's pool in Miami. Different location, same blue water, same smell of chlorine mixed with sunscreen. She was wearing a pink swimsuit with ruffles, her hair in pigtails, her face scrunched up in concentration. I'm scared, Mommy, she'd said, gripping my hand so tight it hurt. I know, baby. But I'm right here. I won't let you go. And I'd walked into the shallow end with her, step by step, until the water reached her waist. She'd clung to me like a koala, her little arms around my neck, her heart beating against my chest like a trapped bird. What if I sink? She'd whispered. You won't. Because I'm holding you. I'll always hold you. And I'd taught her to float that day. On her back, my hand under her spine, her eyes squeezed shut with trust. See? You're doing it. You're floating all by yourself. She'd opened her eyes, seen the sky above her, and smiled. I'm flying, Mommy. Now, 20 years later, she'd pushed me into water, knowing I couldn't swim. Using my own fear as a weapon. The little girl who'd trusted me to hold her had become the woman who'd held me under. Jasper was on the phone with our insurance company, his voice tight and controlled, explaining that we needed to change our beneficiary immediately. Emergency request. Life-threatening situation. Yes, we'll send the police report. Yes, we understand it takes 48 hours to process. 48 hours. 2 days where Marlo was still technically entitled to $2 million if we died. I showed Jasper the text. His face went hard. We're calling Detective Morris. Now. Detective Sarah Morris arrived 30 minutes later with coffee and bagels we couldn't eat. She was maybe 40, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense haircut. She read the text, photographed my phone, and sat down across from us in our hotel room. This is a direct threat. We can trace the number, but my guess is it's a burner phone. Donovan's smart. He's been evading us for months. He put her up to this, Jasper said. She said his name on the recording. He told her to kill us. I know. And we're going to get him. But right now, I need you two somewhere safe. Do you have family you can stay with? Friends out of state? We looked at each other. Our families were either dead or estranged. Our friends had slowly disappeared after the lawsuit, uncomfortable with our drama, tired of hearing about our problems. We were alone. Just us. The way it had been for months now. We'll figure something out, I said. Morris leaned forward. Mrs. Jensen, Mr. Jensen, I'm going to be straight with you. Attempted murder with a financial motive, especially with insurance involved, means you're both still in danger until Donovan is caught and that policy is changed. He's already reached out. He's watching. And he's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. What about Marlo? I asked. Can't she tell you where he is? She lawyered up immediately. Won't say a word. But we pulled her phone records. She's been in contact with Donovan every single day since the lawsuit ended. Including yesterday. Including an hour before she pushed you. Morris pulled out a folder, showed us printed text messages. Look at this one from 3 days ago. I read it out loud, my voice shaking. Mom and Dad are coming tomorrow. Hotel rooftop pool. 2 a.m. No cameras. It'll look like an accident. But there were cameras. She'd been wrong about that. Or maybe she hadn't cared. The next message was from Donovan. Good girl. Once they're gone, we split the money and disappear. New life. New names. Just like we planned. My stomach turned. She was going to run away with him. With our life insurance money. That was the plan, Morris confirmed. We're getting a warrant for his arrest right now. But these things take time, and he's slippery. In the meantime, I'm posting a patrol car outside your hotel. And I strongly suggest you consider witness protection until trial. If you're still watching, hit that like button and let me know in the comments if you think we should have seen this coming. Should we have known our own daughter was capable of this? Because what happened next made me question everything I thought I knew about being a mother. Witness protection. New names, new city, new life. Running from our own daughter and her boyfriend. How had we gotten here? How had the little girl in the pink swimsuit turned into someone who'd trade our lives for cash? We spent that day giving statements, signing papers, reliving the worst night of our lives over and over for lawyers and detectives and prosecutors. By evening, we were exhausted, wrung out, empty. The hotel moved us to a different room on a different floor. The patrol car sat outside, a constant reminder that we were targets now. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Marlo's face as they took her away. Kept hearing her voice on that recording. I need this. I need the money. Like we were obstacles, not people. Not her parents. Just things standing between her and a payday. At 3 a.m., Jasper found me in the bathroom, sitting on the floor, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. He didn't say anything. Just sat down beside me, pulled me against his chest, and let me fall apart. I failed her, I sobbed. Somewhere along the way, I failed her. No, Jasper said firmly. She made her choices. Adult choices. Evil choices. You can't blame yourself for that. But I'm her mother. I should have known. Should have seen the signs. Should have protected her from Donovan, from herself, from whatever darkness got inside her. You can't protect someone from themselves forever, Corinne. At some point, they have to decide who they want to be. And she decided. He stroked my hair, his voice breaking. She decided we were worth more dead than alive. The next morning, Detective Morris called. They'd found Donovan. He was at the airport, trying to board a flight to Mexico using a fake passport. They'd arrested him, charged him with conspiracy to commit murder, accessory to attempted murder, and about 6 other crimes I couldn't keep track of. He's talking, Morris said. Trying to cut a deal. Says Marlowe came up with the whole plan, that he tried to talk her out of it, that he's the victim here. That's a lie, I said. She said on the recording he told her to do it. I know. And we have that recording. His story doesn't hold up. But here's what you need to know. Morris paused. He says Marlowe has been planning this for over a year. Since before the lawsuit. Says she found out about the insurance policy and saw it as her ticket out. The lawsuit, the breakup, the reconciliation, all of it was theater. She was always going to kill you. She was just waiting for the right moment. The room spun. A year. She'd been planning our murder for a year, while we thought we were fighting to get our retirement back. She was figuring out how to cash in on our deaths. There's more, Morris continued. Donovan claims Marlowe was going to kill him too, once she got the money. Says she told him they'd run away together, but he found messages on her computer about hiring someone to make him disappear. He's terrified of her. I didn't know whether to believe that or not. Didn't know if it mattered. My daughter was either a murderer or a double-crosser or both, and none of those options brought me any comfort. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Marlowe's lawyer, an expensive shark named Douglas Crane, tried to get the charges reduced to reckless endangerment. My client made a terrible mistake in a moment of panic, he argued. But there's no proof of premeditation. The text messages were taken out of context. She was in an abusive relationship with Donovan Blake, who manipulated her into making poor choices. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Angela Reeves, pulled up the security footage. Played it 3 times. Played the audio of Marlowe whispering at the pool edge. Read the text messages out loud, slowly, letting each word sink in. This wasn't panic, Reeves said coldly. This was calculation. She lured her parents to a hotel, waited until 2 a.m., brought them to a rooftop pool, and pushed them both in simultaneously knowing her mother couldn't swim. Then she stood there and watched them drown for 5 seconds before calling for help. That's not reckless endangerment. That's attempted first-degree murder. The judge agreed. Marlowe was held without bail. Flight risk, danger to victims, strong evidence of premeditation. She'd be in county jail until trial. I watched her face when the judge said, without bail. Watched the color drain, watched her knees buckle, watched her lawyer catch her. And for just a second, I saw my little girl again. Scared. Lost. In over her head. But then she turned and looked at me, and her eyes were cold. Stone cold. This is your fault, she mouthed. You did this. Jasper grabbed my hand, pulled me toward the exit. Don't engage. She's trying to manipulate you. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Cameras flashing, microphones shoved in our faces. Mr. and Mrs. Jensen, how does it feel to have your own daughter try to kill you? Will you forgive her? Do you think she deserves life in prison? We pushed through without answering. But later, safe in our new apartment, a small 1-bedroom we'd rented with money we didn't have, I couldn't stop thinking about that last question. Did she deserve life in prison? She was 27. If she got the maximum sentence, she'd be in her 50s when she got out. Her entire life gone. But we'd almost lost our entire lives too. Permanently. I don't know how to feel, I told Jasper that night. I'm angry and heartbroken and relieved and guilty all at the same time. That's normal, he said. There's no handbook for this. No right way to process your child trying to murder you. 2 days later, A letter arrived at our apartment. Plain white envelope, county jail return address, Marlowe's handwriting on the front. My hands shook as I opened it. The letter was 2 pages, handwritten on yellow legal pad paper. I read it twice before I could speak. "What does it say?" Jasper asked. I handed it to him. Watched his face as he read. Watched his jaw tighten, his eyes harden. When he finished, he crumpled the letter and threw it across the room. "She's insane. She's actually insane." The letter blamed us for everything. For the lawsuit that ruined her relationship. For not supporting her love for Donovan. For being controlling and manipulative our whole lives. For favoring her imaginary siblings, even though she was an only child. For expecting her to take care of us in our old age, even though we'd never asked for anything. And then, at the very end, the line that broke me, "I didn't think you'd actually die. I just wanted you to hurt like I did. I wanted you to know what it feels like to lose everything because of someone else's choices. If you'd just signed over the money from the lawsuit when I asked, none of this would have happened. You forced my hand." She asked us for the money? I looked at Jasper. When did she ask? He thought back. Remember that call? 3 months after the trial? She said she needed help with her rent, wanted to borrow $20,000. I remembered. We'd said no because we didn't have it. We were broke, living on credit cards and food stamps, working part-time jobs just to keep our apartment. We'd explained all of this. She'd hung up angry, and we hadn't heard from her again until the hotel invitation. She thought we were hiding money, I whispered. She thought we'd won millions in the lawsuit and were just being cheap. We won nothing, Jasper said. Donovan had already hidden it all. The judgment was worthless. She knew that. She was at the trial. But had she been listening? Or had Donovan been whispering lies in her ear, convincing her we were rich and selfish, that we owed her, that we deserved what was coming? The trial started in March, 4 months after the pool incident. The courtroom was packed. Media, true crime bloggers, courthouse regulars looking for entertainment. Marlowe sat at the defense table in a conservative blue dress, her hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked young and innocent and scared. Her lawyer's strategy was clear. Paint her as the victim, paint us as the villains. He tried. Called character witnesses who testified that Marlowe was kind, generous, ambitious, sweet. Called a psychologist who diagnosed her with complex PTSD from our emotional abuse. Called Marlowe's college roommate who claimed we'd been overbearing and controlling, monitoring her grades, choosing her friends, planning her entire life. None of it was true. We'd been normal parents. Maybe a little overprotective, maybe a little too invested in her success, but nothing approaching abuse. Nothing that would justify murder. Then Angela Reeves called us to the stand. I testified first. Told the whole story, from the lawsuit to the hotel invitation to the push to the text messages. Played the security footage again. Played the audio again. Showed the jury Marlowe's letter, the part where she admitted she wanted us to hurt. Douglas Crane tried to tear me apart on cross-examination. Isn't it true you sued your daughter's fiancé? Isn't it true you tried to break up their relationship? Isn't it true you cut her off financially when she refused to leave him? No, I said to each question. We sued Donovan because he stole from us. We wanted her to leave him because he was abusive and criminal. And we didn't cut her off, we went broke because of what he did to us. But I could see some jurors wavering, wondering if maybe we were the problem. If maybe Marlowe had snapped after years of pressure. Then Jasper testified. And he was magnificent. Calm, clear, factual. He brought bank statements showing we'd had nothing to hide. Brought medical records showing Marlowe had never been treated for any mental health issues before meeting Donovan. Brought character witnesses of our own, friends and neighbors and former co-workers who testified we were kind, honest, hard-working people who'd been devastated by our daughter's betrayal. And then Reeves called her surprise witness, Donovan Blake. He walked into the courtroom in an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs, his hair greasy, his face pale. He'd lost weight since his arrest, looked hollow and scared. He wouldn't meet Marlowe's eyes as he sat in the witness box. "Mr. Blake," Reeves began, "tell the jury about your relationship with the defendant." And he sang like a canary. Told them everything. How he'd convinced Marlowe her parents were holding her back. How he'd isolated her from friends and family. How he'd stolen from us and then convinced her it was justified. How he'd found out about the insurance policy and planted the seed in her mind. "I told her it would be easy," he said, his voice shaking. "I told her she could make it look like an accident, collect the money, and we'd disappear. Start over somewhere fresh. But I never thought she'd actually do it. I thought she'd chicken out. And when I realized she was serious, I tried to stop her, but she said it was too late, that she'd already invited them to the hotel." Liar. The text messages proved he'd been involved every step of the way. But he was trying to save himself, throwing Marlowe under the bus to reduce his own sentence. Marlowe finally looked at him. And the hate in her eyes was so pure, so raw, that several jurors actually gasped. She mouthed something I couldn't make out. But Donovan flinched, turned away, kept talking. He testified for 3 hours. Gave them everything. Dates, times, conversations, plans. Showed them messages where Marlowe had researched how long someone could survive underwater, what drowning looked like, how to fake panic. By the time he was done, there was no question. Marlowe had planned this. Meticulously. Methodically. With full knowledge of what she was doing. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they came back, Marlowe stood, her hands clasped in front of her, her face blank. The forewoman read the verdict, guilty on both counts of attempted first-degree murder. Marlowe's legs gave out. Her lawyer caught her, lowered her into her chair. She was sobbing, gasping, shaking her head. No, 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 no. The judge set sentencing for 3 weeks later. Maximum possible sentence, 40 years. She'd be 67 when she got out, if she lived that long. Older than we were now. We left the courthouse through a side exit to avoid the media. Got in our car, drove to a park, and sat there for an hour without talking. It was done. Justice had been served. Our daughter was going to prison for trying to kill us. So why did I feel like I was the one being punished? The sentencing hearing was smaller, quieter. Just family, lawyers, the judge. Marlowe was brought in wearing her orange jumpsuit, her hair unwashed, dark circles under her eyes. She'd lost weight. Looked fragile. Breakable. The judge asked if anyone wanted to make a victim impact statement. Jasper stood up. I thought he'd be angry, harsh, demanding the maximum. But his voice was soft when he spoke. Your Honor, Marlowe is our only child. We raised her, loved her, sacrificed for her. We taught her right from wrong. We thought we'd done a good job. He paused, his voice breaking. We were wrong. Somewhere, somehow, we failed. Or she failed. Or the world failed. I don't know anymore. All I know is that the little girl I taught to ride a bike tried to murder me and my wife for money. And I have to live with that. We both do. For the rest of our lives, every time we see water, we'll remember drowning. Every time the phone rings, we'll wonder if it's another threat. Every time we close our eyes, we'll see her face as she pushed us. That's our sentence. Life without the possibility of peace. He sat down. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Jensen? I stood up slowly. Looked at Marlowe. She was crying, her shoulders shaking. Part of me wanted to run to her, hold her, tell her it would be okay. But I couldn't. Not anymore. I don't know what to say to you, I told her. You're my daughter. I carried you for 9 months, gave birth to you, raised you, loved you with everything I had. And you tried to kill me. Not in a moment of passion, not in self-defense, but coldly, deliberately, for money. You watched me drown. You stood there and watched and did nothing. My voice cracked. I keep asking myself where I went wrong. What I could have done differently. How I missed the signs that you were capable of this. And I have no answers. Maybe there aren't any. Maybe some people are just born broken. Or maybe Donovan broke you. Or maybe I broke you by loving you too much or not enough or in the wrong ways. I took a breath, wiped my eyes. But here's what I know now. Love without accountability isn't love. It's enabling. I enabled you for 27 years. Made excuses for you, defended you, supported you even when you were wrong. And that didn't help you. It hurt you. It made you think you could get away with anything. That there would be no consequences. That your parents would always bail you out, always forgive you, always be there no matter what you did. I looked at the judge. I'm not here to ask for leniency. I'm not here to ask for mercy. I'm here to say that my daughter needs to face the consequences of her actions. Real, serious consequences. Because that's the only chance she has of ever becoming the person I thought she was. The person I hoped she'd be. And maybe she won't. Maybe she'll stay bitter and angry and convinced she's the victim. But at least she'll know that choices have consequences. That you can't hurt people without getting hurt back. That justice exists, even when love doesn't. I sat down. Marlo was staring at me, her face twisted with rage and grief. I hate you, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I hate you so much. I know, I said quietly. But I still love you. And that's the tragedy. The judge sentenced her to 25 years with the possibility of parole after 15. She'd be 42 at the earliest release date. Middle-aged. Her youth gone. Her life reshaped by this one terrible choice. They took her away. She didn't look back. 2 years have passed since that night at the hotel pool. 2 years since I drowned and came back to life. 2 years since I lost my daughter to the prison system and to her own darkness. Jasper and I moved to a different state, changed our phone numbers, started over. We both got therapy, worked through the trauma as best we could. We still have nightmares. Still flinch around water. Still look over our shoulders in parking lots. But we're alive. And we're together. And we're healing slowly, one day at a time. The life insurance policy was changed. The money now goes to a charity that helps families of violent crimes. If we die, at least some good will come from it. Marlo gets nothing. She'll never profit from trying to kill us. Donovan was sentenced to 12 years for his role in the conspiracy. He'll be out before Marlo. I try not to think about that. Last month, we got a letter from the prison. Marlo wanted to see us. Wanted to apologize, according to her counselor. Wanted closure. We talked about it for weeks. Read articles about forgiveness, about reconciliation, about whether parents owe their children second chances even after attempted murder. We prayed about it, though I'm not sure who we were praying to anymore. We asked our therapist, who said the choice was ours and ours alone. In the end, we decided to go. Not because we owed her anything. Not because we'd forgiven her. But because we needed to see her face and know, really know, if there was any part of our daughter left inside the woman who tried to kill us. The prison was gray and cold and depressing. We sat in a visiting room with guards and cameras and other broken families trying to hold onto connections that should have been severed long ago. And then they brought her in. She looked different. Older, harder, thinner. Her hair was short now, plain. No makeup. Prison uniform hanging off her frame. But her eyes were the same. Still Marlo's eyes. Still my baby's eyes. We sat across from each other at a metal table, not touching, not speaking, just looking. Finally, she said, "I'm glad you came." "We almost didn't," Jasper said. "I know." She looked down at her hands, at the table, anywhere but at us. "I've been going to therapy here. Lots of therapy. And I'm starting to understand what I did. What I became. How Donovan got inside my head and twisted everything until I couldn't tell right from wrong anymore." "That's not an excuse," I said. "I know. I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to explain." She finally looked up, and there were tears in her eyes. Real ones, I thought. Not manipulative ones. "I was so angry at you. For the lawsuit, for Donovan, for everything. And he used that anger. Turned it into hate. Made me believe you were the enemy. That you deserved what happened. And now?" Jasper asked. "What do you believe now?" She was quiet for a long time. Now I believe I destroyed my own life. I had parents who loved me, a future ahead of me, choices and opportunities and chances. And I threw it all away for a man who never cared about me and money I'll never see. I tried to kill the two people who would have done anything for me. And I can't take it back. I can never take it back. No, I agreed. You can't. So I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm just asking you to know that I'm sorry. Truly, deeply, completely sorry. And I'm going to spend every day for the rest of my life trying to figure out how to live with what I've done. She reached across the table, stopped just short of touching my hand. I'm sorry, Mom. Dad. I'm so sorry. I looked at her hand, hovering there in the space between us. Part of me wanted to take it, to close that gap, to rebuild some kind of bridge. But I couldn't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Thank you for saying that, I said. It means something. Not everything, but something. We talked for another hour. About her life in prison, her therapy, her plans for when she gets out in 13 more years. About our new life, our healing, our decision to start a support group for parents estranged from their adult children. About forgiveness and accountability and whether they can exist at the same time. When visiting hours ended, we stood up. Marlo looked at us one last time. Will you come back? Next month. Jasper and I exchanged glances. Maybe, I said. We'll think about it. She nodded. Understood. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. They took her back to her cell. We walked out into the sunshine, into freedom, into a life she chose to throw away. Do you think she meant it? Jasper asked in the car. The apology? I don't know, I said honestly. Part of me wants to believe she did. Part of me will never trust her again. Maybe both parts are right. We drove home in silence. That night, I wrote in the journal my therapist suggested I keep. Wrote about the visit, about Marlo's words, about the complicated mess of emotions tangled up in my heart. And at the end, I wrote this. I learned something terrible and true at the bottom of that hotel pool. I learned that love is not enough. Love doesn't conquer all. Love doesn't fix everything. Sometimes people you love become people you can't save. And you have to let them go, not because you stopped loving them, but because loving them was killing you. My daughter tried to murder me. That sentence will never not be shocking. Will never feel real. But it is real. It happened. And I survived it. We survived it. And now we're building a new life from the wreckage of the old one. A life where we help other parents who've lost their children to addiction, to crime, to bad choices, to forces beyond their control. A life where we tell our story so others know they're not alone. A life where pain has purpose and tragedy has meaning. Marlo will be in prison until she's 42. She'll miss her 30s, her prime years, her chance at a normal life. That's her consequence. Her sentence. Her justice. But we got a sentence too. Life with the knowledge that our daughter is capable of murder. Life with trauma and nightmares and fear. Life with complicated grief for someone who's still alive but lost to us anyway. The difference is, we're choosing to make our sentence mean something. We're choosing to help others. To heal. To grow. To become people who survived the worst betrayal imaginable and came out stronger on the other side. That's our ending. Not happy, not tragic, but real. Honest. Human. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting someone face the consequences of their choices. And sometimes the greatest act of survival is choosing to live fully after someone tries to take that choice away. We're still here. Still breathing. Still fighting. Still loving each other in a world that tried to drown us. And that, in the end, is enough. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it reminded you that families are complicated and forgiveness is messy and survival is possible even after the worst betrayal, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us your story, your pain, your healing. Because that's how we survive this together, by knowing we're not alone. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story, because we've got more powerful, emotional, real-life tales coming your way. And remember, your voice matters. Your experience matters. Share it. Inspire others. Help someone else feel less alone. Thank you for watching, for listening, for being part of this community. We read every comment. We see you. And we're grateful you're here.